All right, I'm live. Let's go. All right, hey guys. We got a lot of the new Ahsoka content, or the new love trailers for Ahsoka. So there's a lot to go over. A lot to talk about. THRAWN, Anakin, Ahsoka. Those are probably the big three that I'm going to talk about in this video. I also recently just finished THRAWN Treason, which is the third novel in the THRAWN trilogy about THRAWN's time at the Empire. It's the canon trilogy. Very It's probably my least favorite of the three novels, but I still had a good time reading it. I really like Thrawn's character in the novels, even more than I do in Rebels, to be honest, which I might get into later. But so yeah, let's just get into like we know. I think the biggest thing that I should probably start with is the Anakin reveal, right? Anakin is going to be in the show. I think I've known this already for a long time, with leaks and rumors. But now we got an actual confirmation that he'll be in the show. I want to make sure my audio is fine. Actually, hold on before we get into that more. 'Cause I have my fan on. I'm curious how the audio is working with the fan on. If anyone has a problem with it, I can. I'm gonna keep listening. That's fine. It's just a little bit, but like if people have a problem, so I can turn my fan off. I'll keep it on for now. It's very hot in my room, to be honest. So yeah, I talk about Anakin. Yeah, Anakin's in the show. Pretty cool. And I made a video about this if anyone wants to check it out. I know a lot of people have, but I added something that I'm sure some people have also caught on. But I think that this will be a recreation of the Tales of the Jedi episode with Ahsoka and Anakin. Where she's training and there's the clones surrounding her, and they're like, training with the clones. And then Anakin's about like he said something along the lines of, um, I got something about like in order to prepare you, I need you to protect yourself. I'm something along those lines. But like he's trying to prepare Ahsoka for things that even more than just like droids, because droids are pretty stupid as we've seen in the Clone Wars. So and Anakin, everyone's calling him now the greatest Jedi of all time, which makes sense. That's the tragedy of Anakin. The greatest Jedi, one of the greatest Jedi, fell to the dark side. But people were like, "Oh, why is he the greatest Jedi of all time? He just killed a bunch of children." Well, that's the point. He was the greatest Jedi of all time, or one of. And then the tragedy was that he turned to the dark side. That's kind of the point of that statement, of that title. I remember people were like, I remember in one of the videos from Star Wars recently, I think Rosario was talking about Ahsoka. She had like 30 seconds to talk about Ahsoka, and she mentioned that Ahsoka is the Padawan of the Jedi Master Anakin, and everyone's like, he's not a Jedi Master, but he's a master to Ahsoka. So I mean, it's kind of funny though. I remember the memes of like Mace Windu being like, "No, he's not." The Mace Windu just looking angry. It was funny. I'll give him that. But yeah, I think that we're gonna be seeing the Tales of Jedi creation. I think Filoni did that intentionally too. It's not like that conversation is so close. Actually, let me pull it up right now. I actually saved it. Just talk about it. We'll start with this. Let me get it up. No. Okay. Let me. Okay. Let me present this. What? Okay, fine. All right. Obviously, this is footage from the Kenobi show. I'm wondering if they did any extra de-aging. I kind of noticed that. I don't know. I obviously the lighting's different, the saturation, all that. This is the difference. I can't tell. And same for Vader. Okay, this is kind of loud. Sorry. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, hold on. I want to talk about what he said right here. A few live to see what he became. I think he knows. I mean, just from that, I think he knows that Anakin Skywalker turned into Darth Vader. How would he know that? I think there's two explanations for this. One, uh, THRAWN told him because for those who don't know, and THRAWN knew that Anakin turned into Darth Vader. We find this out in THRAWN Alliances, which is the second novel in the trilogy. Pretty much, he went on this adventure with Vader to Batuu, and it would flash back to THRAWN going to Batuu with Anakin because they met when during the Clone Wars. So he was kind of reading Vader and Anakin simultaneously. He kind of was putting the pieces together that Vader and Anakin were the same person. So that's how THRAWN knows. There's also another explanation for how he could know, is that everyone knows at this point, or some people know because of the rumor of. I'm pretty sure it was covered in one of the canon novels, Aftermath, I believe, where I haven't read the novel, but from what I've heard, Leia is running for senator or chancellor, I think, and people found out that she was the daughter of Anakin Skywalker and Vader, I suppose. Like I don't know how like the rumor of Vader being Anakin. I don't know how that came out, but people eventually do find out that Vader is Anakin. I'm curious if they're changing it so like everyone knows, or if it's going to be because Thrawn told him, or maybe I don't. Maybe Balin encountered Vader at one point. I don't know because we know Balin encountered Anakin, but like how how did he? Was he? Oh, one more. Was he at the Jedi Temple? And maybe I remember some people theorizing that he was at the Jedi Temple and saved Shin. I think Shin could have just been like a youngling, like 5 years old. I don't know how old Shin is, so she looks pretty young in the show. So I'm thinking she could have been like maybe like no older than like 5, perhaps. And he saved her at the Jedi Temple, and then I don't know. They could have been like a master apprentice already, or at that point Shin decided to be her apprentice or his apprentice. Sorry. Yes, let's move on. I feel like Vader's gonna be in the show as well because there. You remember in the first trailer or in the official trailer, we heard the Vader breathing. So Vader's going to be in the show. They keep teasing that. I mean, we know Anakin's going to be, but so is Vader, I'm guessing. Yes, in this war, you'll face more than destroyed. That line is very similar to the line he says in Tales of the Jedi. I don't remember specifically. I made the video on it. I compared the two lines. If you want to watch that video, it's called I think it's called Anakin and the Ahsoka show or Anakin and the Ahsoka trailer. And then I had Tales of Jedi connection also in the title. So I think that is the Tales of the Jedi recreation. So that'd be fun. Let's keep listening. Also, nice. I'm pretty sure he says that line too. It's obviously a little bit different in the show and Tales of the Jedi, but it's very similar. Also, this is new footage actually of the Inquisitor. He just freaking takes his own guy out. Wait, does he take him out? Or is it her? I think they both do. It's like a team up. But I think it's accidental. I won't always be there to look out for you. I think that's also a part of the flashback as well. I don't think all of these are the same flashback, but I think this one is still part of that other flashback. And there's one more line he says, and I want to dive into that. Wait, is this Yavin? That's not Yavin. It's just some. Yeah, that doesn't even make sense. Yavin's taken over by the Empire. I mean, the Empire found out about Yavin, which is just some New Republic ship or New Republic. Yeah, a freighter. That's a new that's a new still, new image or new. Yeah, that's cool. We're seeing a lot of the same fights though between these two, and people are like, "Oh, is this Starkiller?" I don't think so. Doubt it. Or Barris? Definitely not Barris. It's definitely a guy because we know that the actor is a guy, or the stunt actor is a guy. So usually they'd have like a stunt actor being a girl if it was the main actor is a girl. To keep that consistent. So it's definitely not. It's definitely not Barris. Wait, did she only have one lightsaber here? That's interesting. I just noticed that. That's a cool spin. Oh wait! I was a line that he said. Don't be afraid. Oh, this is still super loud. Don't be afraid. I don't remember Ahsoka being that scared in that Tales of the Jedi flashback. So I feel like this is a different flashback now. Maybe. It could even be a Force Ghost Anakin. There's one line here where I 100% think it's Force Ghost Anakin, which we'll get to. Strange Things, yeah, that could also be the other flashback of Tales. It could easily be that. It also could be the Force Ghost. I think that's 100% a flashback. Or I shouldn't say 100%, but I think that's definitely a flashback. Or not a flashback. I think it's 100% or very much a Force Ghost. I meant to say. I think it's definitely a Force Ghost. Just I don't know, because I feel like he's saying, "I know you can do this," which is like something she's got to overcome, something huge. I think her fighting this Imperial remnant of the Empire is like this huge thing that Anakin's trying to like motivate her to overcome. We have to get a bit more of a more footage of the duel between them. Also, we notice her hand here. Sorry, her hand here is like kind of messed up. It's like someone attacked it with a lightsaber. I think I'm assuming because usually she has two lightsabers, and I think someone just disarmed her. I think he just disarmed her, and that's why her hand's like that. Show up at the premiere, August 23rd. 1 week? Are we at one? We're in 1 week now. Jeez. Or 8 days, whatever. Yeah, 8 days, but technically it's a week because it needs to stay up till midnight to watch, or 3 a.m. to watch the premiere. But yeah, we're pretty much at a week now, which is pretty cool. That's about it for the Anakin stuff. I'm just curious how. I guess I could touch on Luke for a little bit. I know I didn't title Luke in the stream, but I think Luke will have a part to play in the show, and particularly it will be the first meeting between Luke and Ahsoka. We have not seen their first meeting. We did see a meeting in the Book of Boba Fett, but we didn't see their first meeting. And Dave Filoni, I remember him saying at one point, he already has it written, or he already knows how they first met. He just didn't know what show to put it in or where to put it in. I think he was referring to the show. I think Luke will be in the show, and Luke's going to tell him about, what Anakin's redemption, and perhaps we'll get a Force Ghost between the three of them, which would be very emotional. I hope they actually do that. The first episode's literally like 53 minutes long, I think, maybe longer. So they have a lot of time to do that. I heard the third episode's like 30 minutes long, which is kind of disappointing. So yeah, I don't think they're actually going to do the Force Ghost until maybe the ending, but who knows? We'll see. We also got a featurette, 7 minutes long. I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing. I already kind of watched it, but it will be fun to cover it. We could do. I'll do the TV spots first. There's 2 TV spots I want to cover first. That came out today, and then we can get to the other stuff. I got like an interview with Lars Mikkelsen I want to talk about THRAWN. Let's start with A Hero's Journey. This is the one that came out today. It's like a minute long. Let me present this. I didn't know I could do this. Hold on. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know I could do that.
You felt it.
That's loud.
We all have. There's just a generational impact that Star Wars has had on my and so many families across the world.
You know what this reminds me of? and it sucks to have to say this. It just reminds me of the making of Boba Fett. No, wrong one. The making of Obi-Wan Kenobi, not Boba Fett. I remember because they did the exact same thing for Kenobi, and I was like, eh. I mean, I know it's super unrelated. It just gives me a bad taste. I did not like the Kenobi show.
Has had on my and so many families.
I remember like Hayden and Ewan would look at the screens of the prequels, like it would show like some footage from the prequel trilogy, and it was cool, but I just don't like Kenobi, so this just reminds me of that.
Across the world. When I think of how much I loved it as a kid, to actually have the Montrals on, the Leku, and the costume, it just feels magical.
I think there's a bit new footage in this. I forget if there's something new footage. Mando?
When I watched The Mandalorian with my mom, and I say, "May the Force be with you," she literally did like a slow turn towards me with tears in her eyes. I feel grateful to be a part of something so truly iconic.
Is this from the AHSOKA show or from Mandalorian? I think it's from Mandalorian. I think that's the outfit she wore in Mandalorian. It's weird seeing like the sabers or like for glow swords or glow sticks almost. I don't know.
Getting to play Ahsoka has been an absolute dream come true.
No, that's still. Is that still Mandalorian?
It's very personal, and it's my honor to be Ahsoka. Her bravery,
I think no, that's the same.
her passion, her power. Ahsoka is truly one of a kind.
Well, yeah, she's one of the best characters in Star Wars. You know, had a lot of character development in Clone Wars and even Rebels. I hope we get some more of that in this show. You know, because we've only had like pieces of her in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Like not a lot of development, but it's like now knowing what she's going after, which is THRAWN, and you know, Ezra. Is that it? Okay. Yeah, cool. I got a couple more, but just talk about Ahsoka coming out in like a little bit over a week, and I'm just curious what they're gonna do for character. There's a lot of leaks talking about certain things I just don't want to get into because, you know, especially not in live stream. I don't want someone to pop in and I just spoil something huge. And I'm like, oh my god, how dare you? I'm like, sorry. So yeah, that's curious what they're gonna do with Ahsoka in this. Like, I never looking for THRAWN. I'm just curious to see like what conflict she's gonna have, like emotional conflict. I know she has conflicts with Baylan and Marek and THRAWN. You know, one thing I haven't seen yet in any of his trailers. We got an Anakin trailer. You know, we got a voice for Shin and Baylan and Hera and Sabine. Where's the THRAWN trailer? THRAWN hasn't said anything. We saw him, but he hasn't said a single. He hasn't peeped at all. And I'm just curious, how much is he in this show? I always had the assumption he'll be at least like in the second half. Like at least he'll be. I don't think he'll be in the first couple episodes, and if he is, maybe like at the very end of the second episode or third episode. But I think he'll be in the second half, and he'll have a lot of screen time. I hope he has a lot of screen time. He's one of the coolest characters, in my opinion. After reading the THRAWN novels, I think he's one of the best characters in Star Wars, and that's crazy. Saying that when there's so many characters in Star Wars, you know. There's one more TV spot, then we'll get into the featurette. It's gonna cover this. Yeah, here we go. Let me get that real quick.
He's coming.
When the stakes are this high, it takes a master and an apprentice to defeat our enemy.
Okay. This is like the only thing I think that was new in this season. Like, not this, but like I don't think I was able to tell if this was Shin or Baylan. I assumed it was Shin, but now I think we get a confirmation. Yeah, it was Shin. Confirmation of Shin. I think she's a badass in this trailer, as well as Baylan. He's a badass and he's a bad. They're both badasses in this show, in these trailers. I'm just curious, because she seems very powerful in the Force. Like we can first see her Force with those guys. I guess we see that all the time in Jedi, but like my thing is we're gonna be see her. I don't know if I forget if they show it in this trailer.
What makes someone ready?
Play by reference.
You
I'll
just
tell guys.
know.
Yeah. How is Sabine gonna be able to like combat her? Because she seems like Shin seems like she's highly trained in the dark side, or just the Force in general. Sabine doesn't. I mean, she's got some training, from Kanan. I don't know how much training she's had off screen for 9 years. Some training from Ahsoka, but like, is she force sensitive? That's definitely a big question. I know a lot of people aren't fans of that. I'm leaning towards not being a fan of it either. But if she has force sensitivity and she still struggles with it, and it maybe has a very, very low force potential, then I think it could work. And like, I just don't know how she could lose to. I don't know how Shin could even lose to Sabine, or even like I don't know how Sabine could even get away from Shin. To be honest, because Shin's pretty powerful. Just what I'm seeing in the trailer, she seems fast. She seems, she's like force people. She seems like she's got a very aggressive lightsaber style. And I don't see Sabine like having any Mandalorian armor on here. So we'll see how she gets out of that. Because if they fight again, and I'm assuming that was before Sabine had more training. What the hell's going on here? I mean, I know we see it in the trailer, but like one of the trailers, like something's like burning around. But it's interesting to see her perspective from the side up. That's a cool transition, though.
AHSOKA 2-episode premiere streaming August 23rd.
Yeah. I'm curious why they actually put a trailer out about Anakin. When you think about it, is it just because like the talk about it, like no one was talking about the show, or was the views kind of low in the trailers? I don't know. It's curious. But about that, I'm just curious to see the dynamic of Baylan and Shin. I'm curious to see how Sabine will fight a Force user, Shin. I'm curious how that's gonna work out. I want to see some more THRAWN stuff, to be honest. There's not a lot of THRAWN content in these trailers. It's mostly about Baylan and Shin, which I like that. They're cool characters from the looks of it. They seem really cool. I think Ray Stevenson's gonna give it an amazing performance. Rest his soul. But I'm very excited to see his character in the show. I want some THRAWN stuff, though. Come on. Well, I mean, I don't want them to give everything away, of course. Which I'm surprised they gave away even Anakin. That's just crazy to me how they did that. But yeah, let's I think I covered all the TV spots. That's now an AHSOKA featurette. 7 minutes long. So yeah, let's just get into it before I ramble for 2 years.
Always two there are. No more. No
You know what's funny about this line?
less. A master.
He's talking about the rule of 2 for the Sith, and then we're using it as like the Jedi, like the Jedi apprentices with the Master and Apprentice. He's talking about the Sith. So it's kind of funny.
And an apprentice.
Star Wars always has these great master-apprentice relationships.
Agreed.
Remember, a Jedi
Obi-Wan and then Luke. Anakin and Obi-Wan, Luke and Yoda, Anakin and Ahsoka, Kanan and Ezra. Yeah, there's like a lot of good ones out there. Yeah, the dynamics are really interesting. I'm curious to see the dynamic of Ahsoka and Sabine. I don't think I remember Ahsoka and Sabine ever interacting in the Rebels, which is kind of interesting. Because it's their whole relationship is going to be off screen. Are we going to get flashbacks? We'll have to see. That's the big thing. What have I been doing for 9 years? I know what Hera has been doing. She's been in the battle. She's still been around during the rebellion. She was on the Battle of Endor, but we don't know what Ahsoka was doing, and we don't know what Sabine was doing. So I'm curious if they'll actually cover that, because a lot of people are like, she wasn't in the OT, so like, what was she doing?
can feel the Force flowing through him.
You see that handing down of mastery, the teaching, the developing, the growing.
Two.
Yeah, it's funny. It's crazy how we got 7 seasons of Clone Wars, and we got so much development of Ahsoka and Anakin in that, like their development as Master and Padawan, and also some Obi-Wan and Anakin, which is really nice. To see their characters develop, and especially like the arc of Sabine and all that. Her death and how it affected Obi-Wan and all that stuff. It's great stuff in Clone Wars. If you haven't watched Clone Wars, I'd recommend watching that. Great show. Also, I guess if you want to be caught up, watch Rebels too. So you know who THRAWN is, of course. Also, but hey, in my opinion, I'd say you should read the canon THRAWN novels instead. Those are pretty fire.
Do not. There is no try.
It's very much the idea of apprenticeship. The need for those two groups
showing sequel trilogy content. God damn it.
to come together in order to pass down the knowledge and to help save the world. In the case of Star Wars.
When I left you, I was but a learner. Now
When I left you, I was on that planet with my helmet cut off like 10 years ago, but now I am the master.
I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Those life lessons are what make these
You
characters
just freaking
some
swing
of
your
the most
saber. Why are you
iconic
showing this?
characters
Come on, get out of here.
worldwide.
The war is just beginning, and I will not be the last Jedi.
I mean, there's like 100 Jedis around. Come on, Luke. Let's be honest. There's still Ahsoka out there. I know she said she's no Jedi, but who knows? Ezra's a Jedi though, and I'm assuming he could be dead, but like, yeah, that's the one thing about like that. I know a lot of people have problems with Ahsoka is that it doesn't matter because it's leading to the sequel trilogy, and we know what happens. Luke fails, the Jedi Temple gets burned down, all that stuff. But my hope for the show and for the movie that comes out, the movie that Dave's making, is that it's kind of leading towards a different part of the galaxy that they could discover, perhaps like at the unknown regions that perhaps the Empire or the First Order didn't reach out to that length. There wasn't like any military out there. It was just the Chiss. I know the Chiss are out there. I want to see some stuff about the Chiss ascendancy in the show. Maybe a show just about THRAWN would be nice because I'm a THRAWN simp, if you couldn't tell. Funny enough, I still haven't read Heir to the Empire. I just got the novel yesterday. I'm so excited to read that. That's probably my most excited thing. For some reason, I read all the canon novels first. So I thought they'd be important. I hope they're important. So I read all that for pretty much this show. It was really, I'm glad I read it regardless, even if there's no mentions of the Chiss ascendancy or the Grist or any of that stuff, or even any specific Chiss characters like Arlani or Yelavanto, which is part of the Empire. Even though that if they don't mention any of that, it was still good stories. In the novels were really good stories. Timothy Zahn, great writer. Definitely recommend reading the canon THRAWN novels. I've made so many videos about them. That's like probably what half of my videos are about, just the THRAWN novels, and then probably will make more. I actually have a one coming out tomorrow about Pelion, and this is taking place during THRAWN Treason. We'll see like pretty much the videos about how Pelion and THRAWN met. And like how it leads up to what we saw in the Rebels finale with the Pelion mention. But yeah, let's keep going.
All of that wisdom gets passed down, over those generations. We have Qui-Gon Jinn, who's the master of...
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Qui-Gon. Poor guy. Yeah, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. What's up?
Obi-Wan, who's the master of Anakin Skywalker. And by being trained by Anakin, Ahsoka was part of that legacy as well.
Yeah, I think there's new footage in this trailer, which is very cool. Or not this trailer, but this featurette. Yeah, to cover the origins, which actually I didn't know this completely. What's what you said.
Ahsoka is a character that Dave Filoni created and worked with George Lucas on in the Clone Wars.
Originally, we didn't really know, exactly what the Clone Wars was going to be, and we made up our own little band of characters. There was a character that was a Jedi, and there was a Padawan, and thought we'll put them on adventures. But, George had other ideas. He says, well, in this character, and he points to the Padawan we had, and he says, let's give Anakin Skywalker a Padawan.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? Actually,
And I was like, Anakin doesn't have Padawan. And he just looked at me and said, Anakin has a Padawan.
yeah, I think it's a good decision to do that. You know, it gives even more development in a way to Revenge of the Sith, where Mace Windu was like, you were on the seat, but you're not granted rank of master. And it was funny, it's like everyone calls Anakin the master, and he had a freaking Padawan that calls him master. So like, how could you not give me the rank of master? I proved myself already. I am one of the best Jedi out there, and that's what he thinks. I think to a certain extent he was, at least during the Clone Wars. But he's the one who took out Count Dooku. He's the one that would always fight Count Dooku and like was always pretty much even with him. Obi-Wan was always struggling against Count Dooku. Anakin was pretty much even with Count. It's kind of funny, like how, you know, everyone was like, oh, Anakin never had a Padawan. Well, I think they did a good job of like fitting it into the prequels, like because we even got the new season that takes place during Revenge of the Sith, so it all kind of fits. The only thing that's weird is like Anakin doesn't mention Ahsoka a single time in Revenge of the Sith, but you know, she wasn't created yet. But it is what it is. It was still a good idea to add Ahsoka in the canon. It was kind of interesting to think that she would have just been some Padawan to some other Jedi. Maybe it would have been Plo Koon. That would have been fun. I see that dynamic. We see some of that in the Clone Wars. But...
And that was basically it. That's how Ahsoka came about. We cast Ashley Eckstein to be the voice of the character. And she's fantastic in the Clone Wars and Rebels.
Oh, you know what I want more of? I want some more of Asajj Ventress, because I know she dies in one of the novels. But adapt that into like a show or a movie. Come on, she's a cool character. Why not? Or, yeah, why not?
AHSOKA is one of the most well-developed characters in Star Wars, period.
Yeah, it's true. She's got 7 seasons of Clone Wars, a couple seasons of Rebels in her boat. She's got a lot of stuff, and she's getting more. So she's getting her own show too, so she can have even more development.
She's the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker. She's the only one that he is trained to be a Jedi.
This young teenage girl who was trained to be a keeper of the peace had to become a warrior worthy of standing next to the greatest Jedi of all time.
People got triggered when you said that. When Dave said Anakin's the greatest Jedi of all time, I'm like, yes, he is. Come on, he is obviously the greatest Jedi of all time. That's the tragedy of it. He was the greatest Jedi of all time during the prequels.
Ahsoka's story and her growth has mirrored my own. As you see my style of storytelling mature, the stories got more complex. It had grown to the point where I wanted to take what I was doing in animation and really see if I could get it to this type of storytelling that I'd grown up with in Star Wars. Mandalorian Season 1 was a perfect place for me to experiment with my own creativity and style, but have a great backstop and support from collaborators.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. This is the first show Dave is doing where it's fully live action that he's writing. I know, yes, he did Mandalorian, but he didn't do every episode. I believe he wrote every single episode of Mandalorian. Every single episode of Ahsoka, and he's directing a couple episodes as well. So I'm curious to see if he can like direct. I don't know what episodes he directed in Ahsoka. I don't know if did he direct the Mandalorian episode. I know he wrote it, of course. I'm assuming he directed it. I'm assuming he did.
With all.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Because like for those on, if the show does really well, then it's gonna be setting up that movie, that Heir to the Empire movie, presumably that Dave's making. I mean, we don't know what it's called, but I'm just gonna call it Heir to the Empire until proven otherwise. Who knows? But yeah, if the show doesn't do it well, then yeah, you're gonna be really not so excited for that Dave movie. Because it's pretty much setting up that movie and all that, and the other shows. Like I'm assuming Skeleton Crew has some tie-in, which I heard apparently the show's being delayed or something. So
these other extraordinary people.
You must reunite it with its own kind.
This is the way.
So when season 2 came around, I was like, for my episode, I was like, well, I'm gonna do Ahsoka. I'm like,
he's like, I'm just gonna put Ahsoka in here. that makes the question, like, how much was set up about, like, Grogu going off with Luke? Was that, like, the first thing they thought of, or was it the last thing they thought of? I don't know. I'm curious, like, how their, like, what their thought process is. Their thought process was of the season 2 of Mandalorian. Because I'm just so confused of what happened in season 3. And Book of Boba Fett. That's like Grogu just going back to Mando and kind of undoing a lot of plot threads, like, Grogu going off with Luke to train, and then Mando taking off his helmet. Interesting.
Let's need to try this. Let's do it.
Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan sent me.
I hope it's about him.
For a character that has such depth and complexity, to bring.
Oh, I just saw the volume move, kind of.
For a character that has such depth and complexity, to bring that character to live action made a tremendous amount of sense.
Tell me what I want to know.
Well, I think Dave actually had a plan for Ahsoka and the Rebels crew for a long time, since this season finale, or the series finale, Rebels. So, Ahsoka going off to look for Thrawn with Sabine. That's been set up for years now. I think it came out in 2016 or something. Maybe 2017. But yeah, it's been years. So clearly there's been some plan to do a Rebels sequel. So that'll be fun.
Where is your master?
George visited the set when we were filming the lightsaber fight in the Japanese garden.
Yeah, George was there for Ahsoka. That's pretty cool. I think that's awesome. I want George to be on set more for stuff. I want to hear his input, to be honest. That'd be fun.
Season 2. And
I'm curious what he thinks about Ahsoka, like her story arc, and like where she's going forward and all of that. I'm curious to see what he thinks about that.
I think it was really encouraging of Dave stepping up to this role. And so George would turn to Kathy and myself and be proud of Dave.
That's cool.
He was Dave's teacher.
I wonder if it's on the set for Ahsoka. I hope so. That'd be fun.
And Dave was his apprentice.
There are moments when I just stare at her and I'm just like, wow, she just looks like this thing I've drawn, but Sarah's done all the research. Like, she knows the character, but now she has to become it in a way that's never happened before.
Yeah, it actually, the thing that feels most awkward right now is talking with you. The posing and sort of the stances we were doing, that's not unusual, but speaking as Rosario while in Ahsoka is a little startling. I really love the transformation and really deep diving into who she is.
Rosario Dawson is just such an incredibly powerful actress, and she loves this character. I think everything about who Ahsoka is just...
Of course, you had to get Captain Kennedy's input on this, unfortunately. God damn it.
Brought to life in a way that almost nobody else could.
She not only gets a character, but she gets like the Star Wars of it all, which is an important ingredient. You have to be in it. This is a hard thing. You're gonna have to be painted orange every day. You're gonna have to put a prosthetic on your head every day. You're gonna be training like a Jedi to learn how to lightsaber fight almost every day.
I'm playing someone who's an absolute expert. And so I really wanted to be able to...
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, this guy, I know it's probably just the stunt actor, or the stunt guy. But still, it's a guy. Like, if it was I'm pretty sure if it was like a female playing the character, they would have a female stunt person. So I'm pretty sure it's definitely a guy, and so that kind of rules out Varys. She could be in the show still, but she's just not going to be the Inquisitor.
Physicalize that as much as possible.
Yeah, Jedi's primary weapon is a lightsaber. There need to be a lot of lightsaber fights, and they have to be good because our fans know the difference.
When I started getting my stances and some of the postures and, started really getting my left hand up to par with my right, that I started to really feel like I was sinking into who Ahsoka was, because her physicality is such a huge part of who she is. No matter how tired I was like, sign me up for some more. Sign me up for some more.
Okay, I have a theory, big theory. It's like, where the hell is the Inquisitor here? She's just attacking this guy, this robot, and like Inquisitor's just gone. Maybe, I think my theory is the Inquisitor is running away. He fled. for some reason, probably because Ahsoka's too powerful and he couldn't defeat her. So he ran away. He got one of his minion droids to stall her, so she couldn't chase after him. Or he's like, okay, I'm gonna watch you two fight and see what happens, and then he joins in after.
I was like, sign me up for some more. Sign me up for some more.
Well, that kind of confirms that Ahsoka's not gonna die in the show. So if anyone thought Ahsoka was gonna die in the show, that's a 0% chance right there. 0% chance. -5. In fact, she's gonna be even more powerful, actually.
When you step into Star Wars and work with George, you are part of a legacy. You're part of a history, and we had to uphold that history and yet do this completely new and different thing.
Yeah, I like that. Like I was like, you're trying to respect George's legacy and but still trying to create new stories. I do respect that.
AHSOKA is another story where you can.
That's new. That's new.
Yet do this completely new and different thing.
Okay, we're just going to this area, and there's like remember the hologram goes up, and like I'm assuming it's the map to the maybe the beyond, which is where THRAWN is, or maybe it's about the world between worlds. I don't know.
AHSOKA is another story where you can step in at any point and not feel that you necessarily have to have seen everything.
From the beginning of this series, AHSOKA is out there on the fringe of the galaxy. When she hears,
I wonder what this is about. Is that Pelion? Is that Pelion, you guys think? I don't know. I'd assume so. I would assume Pelion has some, part to play in the show because he was, set up in Mandalorian. And we know from the EU, they're very integral together, THRAWN and Pelion. And I'm assuming this could be perhaps even THRAWN coming out in here. It could be possible. We'll see. I'm very curious to see the scene.
whispers of this war.
I mean, okay, yeah, it's definitely THRAWN, right? Cuts to THRAWN. Unless they're doing that on purpose, maybe it's something else. But come on. Also, where the hell is the photo? Give me some dialogue from THRAWN. I think he's got one of the coolest voices in all of Star Wars. That's how he speaks. Come on, give me some. And Lars Nicholson, he nails it. He is so good. Jeez, I'm so excited for THRAWN in the show. I just want them to do it right. I have a small, not even small, like a decent amount of fear that they're gonna get it wrong and like kind of ignore some of the canon, I guess, in the novels that Kumasan wrote for him. But actually, there's some quotes that Lars Nicholson has about THRAWN that I want to get into after this. That kind of makes me a bit more reassured. So let's keep going.
The Lord's return, she decides to enlist her friends' help.
And then Monmouth is like, nope, I'm not gonna help you. You're bad.
This is about preventing another war.
You know who could help?
Sabine Wren.
I'm not sure she'll...
Okay, so my guess is like the first half of the episode is maybe some flashbacks, I'm guessing, and then her going to the New Republic for help, and they're like, nope, we're not going to help you. Our resources are too low because of the demilitarization, which is kind of stupid, by the way. But first half of the episode, we're going to see maybe some New Republic stuff, and then perhaps towards the end, we're going to be her meeting up with Sabine. I hope it's at least in the first episode. I don't want it to drag it out. Of like, oh, what has been going on with Sabine? Just bring it in.
I want to help.
I'm telling the story about this mentor-student relationship that passes from Anakin to Ahsoka.
That's pretty cool.
Ahsoka to Sabine.
Oh yeah, and Sabine. I think right here confirms Sabine's going to be a Jedi. I know a lot of people are not going to like that. I don't really like it. As long as she's like her, I think her for this to work for her character, her force potential needs to be very low, and maybe the most she could do is like force push like a pencil or something. Like I don't know how powerful you should make her. I don't think you should make her that powerful at all. She's already pretty competent as is. So I just say keep her force potential very low because Kanan couldn't sense any force ability in Sabine and the Rebels, so it should not be very high. I'll say that. And there should be a lot of struggle for her to do this. And I'm just like, how is she going to survive Shin? Unless Shin's just toying with her. Like, Shin's just toying her for her. That's the only way I can think of it for it to work.
There is nothing easy about being a Jedi.
I mean, there's two fights. One of her, she has long hair, one she has shorter hair. So there's at least 2 fights between Shin and Sabine. I'm just like, how the heck does Sabine like escape? I mean, to be fair, we see Kanan and Ezra escape Vader as well, but usually, you know, like for instance in the finale, is because Ahsoka comes in to duel Vader instead. So is Ahsoka going to show up and like maybe perhaps assist Sabine, and then she has to, you know, flee? Who knows?
It's quite extraordinary. Bring this to life.
Yeah, that's the second duel. Right here, she's got the shorter hair, so it's definitely like a second duel. I'm like, how's she gonna survive this? I think, the thing is, let me go back. As you can see, right, I just had. She doesn't have her Mandalorian armor on.
It's quite
She does nothing. She just got like clothes, like a shirt, and like a lightsaber. She's gonna lose this fight. I don't know how she escapes it or how she survives, but she's gonna lose this fight, guaranteed.
Extraordinary. Bring this to life.
But let's see here. She's got her Mandalorian armor on. You can kind of see it. She's got her Mandalorian armor, so I think it'd be smart for her to like use, you know, her Mandalorian gear like we saw in Rebels, like the whip and all that stuff, and the jetpack, and you know, Beskar is a very nice touch. So it's like, you know, the saber just is, you know, resistant to the armor is resistant to lightsabers, so she's got that advantage.
When the stakes are this high.
And that Inquisitor again for the millionth time. Like it ends with the Inquisitor like every time.
We have to do what's right.
Okay. Well, that's cool. And 23rd. I mean, I've said this like 10 times, so let's. There's like one more thing I want to cover, then I'll probably get out of here. There's an article. It's not a new article, but like it's about as Mickelson kind of talks about this. Let me find it. Mars. Here we go. Let me put this up. So this kind of covers, or in this article, it covers multiple actors talking about their character, but in this one particularly, I'm covering it's going to talk about Lars Mikkelsen talking about THRAWN. Let's just read these 3 paragraphs. There's one final villain who Ahsoka will face, and he's got a Star Wars history even longer than hers. Danish actor Lars Mikkelsen, 59, plays the blue baddie THRAWN, reprising the voice role from Rebels. The ruthless Imperial officer has been terrifying Star Wars fans for decades, actually. I was going to say years, but for decades, as a brilliant tactician, ever since he battled Luke Skywalker and Timothy Zahn's beloved 1991 novel, Heir to the Empire. I'm so excited to read that novel. I'm going to read it probably tonight or tomorrow. You know, I'm going to start reading it, that is. It's like 400 pages or even longer. I think it's like 3 books in the trilogy, so I got a lot of reading to do. I'm not going to be able to finish it before the show, but hopefully I can finish it before the movie, the Dave Filoni movie, which is supposed to be like an adaptation of Heir to the Empire. Just from assumptions. But I know it's going to be very different, though. I've heard like the canon's going to be a lot different. Like there's probably going to be no Mara Jade. I can't even speak much about Mara Jade. I don't really know anything about these characters. I know she was like a Jabba's palace. She's the hand to Palpatine. Okay, let's keep moving on. The character officially joined the canon in Rebels, and now he'll appear in Ahsoka in all his blue-skinned, red-eyed glory. And here's what Timothy Zahn. I wish this was what Timothy Zahn had to say, but this is what Lars Mikkelsen has to say. I hope Zahn had some part to play. I know he was consulted, but I don't know to what extent. But let's just read this. This is what Lars Mikkelsen has to say about THRAWN. He's brutal to a certain point, but he's not stupid. Mikkelsen says of this calm and conniving villain. He utilizes the creativity around him, and I like that. That's spot on. That's spot on. At least in the, I mean, even in Rebels to a certain extent, but especially in the novels, he definitely does this. Absolutely. And he doesn't just kill people off for the fun of it. He's sort of 7 pages ahead of everybody else. And that's my biggest problem with Rebels, the series finale, where he just freaking bombards Lothal, and it's all the citizens just dying. He doesn't do that. That's not his thing. At least in the canon novels, he would never do that. In fact, even in the first Thrawn novel, or the canon first Thrawn novel, there's what's her name? Price is bombarding. I don't remember. I think it's not Avalon. It's one of the planets that is mentioned in Thrawn's introduction. For those who know, remember the line that where Thrawn's introduced, and there's the he has the victory on a certain planet. I don't remember the planet. I think it's the victory of Bataan. And then, yeah, the victory on Bataan. I think that's what it's called. And Agent Kella said there were several civilian casualties, but then we find out in the novel it wasn't him that gave that order. It was like there was like bombs around the city or whatever, and Price, she lit them, and yeah, it was pretty much what I'm trying to say. It was Price that did it, and then, but she told Thrawn to take the credit, and then Palpatine, because of that, gave Thrawn Grand Admiral. Thrawn doesn't care about civilian casualties, or Palpatine, I meant to say. Palpatine doesn't care about civilian casualties. Thrawn obviously does, but he's gonna take the credit, anyways. But let's keep going. I think there's actually more. Okay. Mikkelsen says he assumed his time as Thrawn ended with Rebels, but he remembers Filoni making a cryptic tease in 2020 when he wrapped recording on its final episode. But director asked if Mikkelsen had ever been. Wait, what? Oh, the director asked if Mikkelsen had ever been to LA, and when the actor said no, Filoni replied, "Well, let's see if we can make that happen." That's funny. I didn't really understand what he meant by that. That's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Mikkelsen says now with a laugh. But then, about a year and a half later, he phoned me up and I was game. Mentioned his brother. Sorry. He mentioned his brother. And what? I see this? Mikkelsen's involvement was kept strictly under wraps until Star Wars Celebration. That's pretty cool. Like, no one knew for sure if it was going to be Lars Mikkelsen until like he came out on stage, and that was a really cool moment. I was like, I hope it's him because his performance was so good in Rebels. Anyways, Mikkelsen's involvement was kept strictly under wraps until Star Wars Celebration. Let me see if I can make this bigger. There you go. He admitted that the fan reaction made him tear up. And yeah, I remember that too. He also jokes that he looks forward to comparing Star Wars notes with his younger brother Mads Mikkelsen, with like Galen Erso and Rogue One. I hope Galen Erso is in the Andor season 2. That'd be fun. And we could, they're gonna have their 2 shows together and they can talk about it. I mean, he probably knows too, but I'm sure his brother is able to tell him. Since they both work for Lucasfilm. Maybe not, I don't know. Let's keep going. It's a bit more about Thrawn. But bringing Thrawn into live action required a bit more effort than just hanging out in a recording booth, obviously. Like several of his co-stars, Mikkelsen spent hours in the makeup chair, getting smeared in thick paint. That's funny. I mean, I'm not the only one with various colors. There's green and orange. Everyone gets through it, or goes through it. Still, he admits, he wasn't sure Thrawn's menace or menace would truly work in live action until we first stepped on to set in full makeup, red eyes, glinting, and the stage lights. I really wanted to see it in the camera, he says, but it worked, and I was quite amazed. Yeah, and I want to see some more shots of Thrawn. Because we see that same shot over and over of Thrawn, and it's kind of in a weird angle. That looks a bit weird. But I want to see, different angles of Thrawn. Maybe it looks better in a different angle. We just got like an awkward one. Is it? It's about Dave. Back. Who's back? Okay. Anything else in this interview we can cover? Anything about Baylan, perhaps? Here we go. Ray really was so excited for this character to be released into the world. He was just an extraordinary, kind human being. I used to call him poetry in motion on the set. He really was walking poetry, and I know I'm going to be thinking about him when we're watching these episodes. Yeah, I think he's going to give such a good performance, Ray Stevenson. I think he gives such a good aura of like, he gives like a very powerful aura around him, and very like almost scary. It's like he's definitely a powerful character. He's going to be a force to reckon with AHSOKA. I think we've seen AHSOKA fight Inquisitors, but someone like on her match, I don't know if he's like as powerful as Vader, probably not. But so like I'm curious if he's equal to AHSOKA or if he's more powerful than AHSOKA. We'll have to see. We've only seen one duel with Baylan and AHSOKA, where we've seen like two with Shin and Sabine, and we saw a duel with the Inquisitor and AHSOKA. And I'm assuming it's only like the first few episodes. Okay. Yeah, so we finally read this article. Yeah, so I think I've covered a lot already. Talked about Anakin, talked about AHSOKA, talked about THRAWN. I want to see more THRAWN TV spots. Hopefully, THRAWN gets some voice lines. I don't want him to go too hard with it. I want some secrecy for the show. But I would like to think THRAWN has a lot of voice lines and a lot of screen time in the show, and hopefully not just like one episode. But I don't know. Anakin, I'm curious how much screen time Anakin's gonna have. Based on leaks, there might be a decent amount. I'll say that, and it might be controversial. I'll say that it's a little controversial what they might do. But the flashbacks are just the simple flashbacks, like like if we get like a remake of Tales of a Jedi of that episode, that'd be awesome to see. We can maybe get Rex and some other clones. I'd love to see a Tamora Morrison back in live action as a clone and as Rex. I hope he's in the show. I think they could do something cool with that character. Make Cedar the dynamic, and all that in live action. I want to, because there's two things I was always curious to see in live action versus the clone, or the live action versus the cartoon, which is the two things was Anakin and AHSOKA and Rex. Because those would be, I don't want to say they'll feel different because they're the same characters, just different actors, but it'll have like a somewhat different feel because we haven't seen Tamora Morrison play as Rex, so I'm very curious if they'll actually do that. I hope they do because I think he'd still be alive. He was at the Battle of Endor, which was 5 years before this, so I suppose he could still be alive. He might just not be like walking. He might not just be like in an active role as he used to be. Like he might be retiring because he's getting a bit too old, I'm guessing. But even then, you can do flashbacks, and we can see that. So why not? Go for it. And that's really about it for this live stream. I don't think there's anything else I want to cover. One more time, I'm very excited for the show. It's coming out in about a week now, on the 23rd. I'm excited to see Anakin Skywalker back. I'm excited to see THRAWN and Baylan and Shin and all of them. I think, I love THRAWN, I love AHSOKA, I love Anakin. But, Baylan and Shin are new characters, and I'm very curious to see what they do. And what's their, will they have, a future in previous projects? I don't know about Baylan, but it'd be cool to see Shin and more stuff. I don't think they can do more Baylan stuff, unfortunately. But Shin, why not? She seems pretty cool, and just based on the trailers we've seen. But yeah, that's really about it for this stream, everyone. you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments. And I'll try to get to it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in probably the next video. I have a video coming out tomorrow about Pelion, and it's a canon video about pretty much what we know about Pelion before Rebels, like leading up to Rebels, like how Pelion and THRAWN met, pretty much. But that's about it, everyone.